10 people waiting.
Oh my goodness.
To see your face this morning.
We have an executive producer today, so you don't have to look at a pallet of water for 45 minutes. Also because it's Friday, and so we're live not only on YouTube, also on everybody's favorite Asian spyware. I'm Bear with BearIndependent.com. Thanks for being here. If you are not subscribed here, go ahead and subscribe, ring the little bell icon. You are going to need this information to navigate the crazy effing world that is coming in the days ahead. And I'm extra salty lately, so I'll try and keep this PG-13. If you're not new here, please share it with people you think need to see this. That helps the channel grow. It helps us in our ongoing battle against the YouTube algorithmic robots. And we will not be enslaved Terminator style by a bunch of ones and zeros. Bear Independent Brief, 8 July 22, that's today. The recent stories of struggling food banks are often local. Headlines like Arizona food banks struggle as inflation impacts residents, and branch area food pantry reports more seeking help, produce and meat donations down, and Food Bank of Southeastern Virginia and Eastern Shore look to leaders for help with rising food costs. These are all indicators. Collectively, the headlines are frequent and paint a picture of the nationwide issue that food banks are facing. Citizens are being crushed under inflation, and normally financially healthy families are turning to a resource they never thought they would: charity. Unfortunately, the rising food costs are affecting the food banks just as starkly as they are affecting everyday families. Most food banks, or at least the ones that I'm aware of, are dependent not only on individual donations from households, but also corporate donations from food producers like Tyson and General Mills and so forth and so on. Labor shortage, which I don't understand. I don't understand why people aren't going to work. Where did all the people go? Are they in FEMA camps down on the border? What do you think, Liberty?
Started working from home.
You started working from home? Yeah, maybe. Not a lot of people doing what we do.
Start working for themselves.
Maybe. A lot of people self-selected out of the labor market, the workforce. Imagine that. If you pay people to stay home, they will, drumroll please, stay home. It's shocking, I know. I want to point out, I've said this on this channel for years, but we have a lot of new people, and I still believe it's true. I have a feeling in my gut. I can't give you all the data on it. I'm just not there yet, but call it intuition. I have a feeling in my gut that if you are dependent upon a check from the government, whether you earned it or you didn't earn it, and this is, I'm not judging you in this. I'm saying if you are on Social Security income, or you have a pension from the DOD, or you're a GS-14 or whatever, where you're on public assistance, that's going to go away. And that's going to go away because of the financial insolvency of our government. I just feel it in my gut. Like I said, I can't put my finger on it exactly, but I just feel it in my gut. Due to rate of inflation versus cost of living increases, it's already going away marginally, incrementally. That's not going to get better for at least the next 5 years, regardless of who's in office. We're in an economic downturn. We're in a recession. We are paying for all the mistakes of the past right now. And so I would encourage you in all the things that you do to be independent from the system, which is what this channel is about. Bear independent of the broken, fragile system. Be as economically, financially independent of the system as possible. We've talked ad nauseum about continuity of government. It's not continuity of you. It's not continuity of your community or your business or your food bank or your faith group. It's continuity of government. They don't have the capacity to care about you. Forget the interest as to whether or not they do care about you. They don't have the capacity to care about you. To that point, back to the brief, President Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. asterisk recently blamed gas stations for the high fuel prices, telling them, quote, "These are not normal times. Bring down the price you are charging at the pump to reflect the cost you're paying for the product. Do it now," end quote. Do people still buy into the puppet show? Like, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Do people still buy into the puppet show? Honestly, like, I know on YouTube we have a pretty conservative audience, and a lot of libertarians as well. But how does the average human being, the average American, still buy into the dog and pony show? I don't get it. He's a Muppet. He's a sock puppet. He's an old man that has lost his mental faculties. If he was your grandpa, you'd say, "Grandpa, I love you, but it's time to go back to the nursing home. You don't need to be driving. You don't need to be talking. You definitely don't need to be running the strongest nation on the face of the earth," which of course begs the deeper question, who actually is, which we don't need to jump into that rabbit hole today. But how do people still think, oh yeah, everything's good? People are still just watching the dog and pony show. I don't get it. The Chinese state media approved of Biden's comments, glad that he finally realized, quote, that capitalism is all about exploitation, end quote. Shut up, China. Unfortunately for both Biden and China's state media, both comments were astoundingly economically illiterate. Gas stations don't have control over fuel prices. They can't bring down prices because of the fierce competition brought about by, that's right, capitalism. According to the National Association of Convenience Stores, which is cool. I didn't know that there was a National Association of Convenience Stores. I guess everybody's just grouping up these days. The NACS, the National Association of Convenience Stores, 0.99%, less than 1% of fueling outlets around the nation are individual or family-operated businesses. The rest are evil corporations. They make most of their profits from food and drink sales, only making 10 to 15 cents per gallon off of the gas. New offshore drilling has been blocked in the Atlantic and the Pacific, with limited lease sales in the Gulf of Mexico, all for the, air quote, clean energy economy transition, which we'll talk about in a moment. Brian Kilmeade of Fox and Friends, which, make no mistake, is still state propaganda. Fox just is pandering to a different audience. That's all. You got, and CNBC, MSNBC, CNN on the one side, and you got Fox on the other. It's all propaganda and lies, bro. It's all bullshit party talking points. Oh, I said a bad word. Brian Kilmeade of Fox and Friends addressed Biden when he said, quote, "Maybe if you," listen to these strong words from the propagandist, "maybe if you met with the oil executives last week instead of the wind theorists, you would know they are not at fault. Your policies are. And here's the best news. You can change them and help the country." Yes, we have the capacity, the United States has the capacity to produce all of the energy we need internally. In West Texas and New Mexico, there is enough oil and natural gas to run our country, not at current, but at projected consumption rates for a minimum of the next 300 years. Just right there. But we're not doing that. We're not producing that oil because we have an agenda, a climate agenda. The report from Iron Mountain, 1954, I believe, that was a group of people from the legitimate military-industrial complex, capitalists and scientists and DOD personnel that all got together and realized, hey, we're pretty good at making money from war, but war's probably not long-term sustainable. Because if we kill off everybody, then no more human race. So we need to look for different ways to earn money. Acknowledging fully that the United States is good at war and that is therefore good for our economy. What other things can we be doing? And there were some very interesting things that came out of the report from Iron Mountain. First of all, they talked about ongoing war in Southeast Asia. So in '53, we had the Korean War, which is a proxy war between the US and China. And then the French were already in the, Indochina, French Indochina, aka Vietnam, since the 40s and early 50s. But then you have the US involvement with advisors in Vietnam in 1965 on into the 70s. Yeah, war in Southeast Asia, because we've got the war as a racket part down. We can earn some money from that. We'll just send our sons and daughters into the maw to suffer and die on behalf of American capitalism. So that was prophesied by the report on Iron Mountain. And then another thing that it said was we need large unattainable goals, like space exploration. And what do you get after 1945, Project Paperclip, Wernher von Braun and NASA? You go to Huntsville, Alabama, where NASA's headquartered, and everything is von Braun this, von Braun Library, von Braun Street, von Braun Public Park. Avowed Nazi. Built all the rockets for Hitler. We bring that guy here and we're like, hey, let's have a space agency now. Large unattainable goals, space exploration. So we did that, right? And of course, how do we capitalize off that? Oh no, the Russians put an electronic grapefruit in the air called Sputnik. We need to pour billions and trillions of dollars into space exploration. Yep, military-industrial complex. And the point of this rabbit hole dive on the report from Iron Mountain was under the list of large unattainable goals was climate change. They're just running a new play out of the playbook. Green energy's not green. It takes an exorbitant amount of conventional energy to produce green energy. And I've said before, and I'll say again, the life cycle of a wind turbine is 20 to 25 years. Ask me how I know. That was my job. The carbon neutral break-even point on a wind turbine is 38 years. 38. We are 13 to 18 years in the hole for every wind turbine we stand up. It's not about renewable energy. And oh, by the way, all of your electric cars that everybody's going to be forced into buying here in the near future, which take semiconductors, which we can't get because of the shortage of neon, which is produced in, drumroll please, Russia and Ukraine. So we can't print semiconductors, which means we're going to be going back to analog cars, not smart cars. So no smart cars, no batteries. Lithium ion, lithium comes from where? China. Exactly. And Africa, which is why China's in Africa. Now, how are you going to charge your smart car? 52% of our electricity in the United States of America comes from coal. It's all a bullshit shell game, man. Designed to extract capital from us to them. So don't believe the hype. Don't believe the garbage. Don't believe. Now, is there small-scale applications for this? Yes, absolutely. Probably a good idea to have solar panels up at your house, or maybe a small wind turbine. But utility scale renewable energy is what I did for a job. That's how I got involved with the DOD and the DIA. I know a thing or two about it. And what you are being told, the narratives you're being sold, is a literal load of horseshit. Don't believe them. In the wake of Biden's gaffe blaming gas stations for high gas prices, most people had to face the reality of Biden inflation on their July 4th cookouts, if they could afford them at all. While the American Farm Bureau published a graphic on Twitter that depicted more than a $10 rise in costs since 2020, most replying comments cried foul. Less than $70 for a cookout for 10 people was not the number that people were seeing in the grocery stores. One person wrote, if I'm cooking for 10, that's an easy $150. I would agree. Scarcity, food scarcity. And the challenge with food scarcity is it's informed by all of these other indicators that are going on: the fertilizer shortage, the trucking shortage, the diesel shortage, the labor shortage, and it 100% leads to civil unrest. The last time the wheat crop failed in the Middle East and North Africa was 2008, which led to the Arab Spring, a huge upswell in fourth generation warfare. What do you think is gonna happen here when you can't get Cheerios for your kid? Honest question. See, it doesn't sound so crazy anymore that you should probably be putting food in buckets and buying extra canned food. That you should probably get some backyard chickens, maybe plant a garden, or leave the cities altogether and come out to a place like this where you can produce food, not just consume it. That's fine. I'm no John the Baptist, but everybody thought he was crazy when he was wandering in the wilderness screaming at people in the Jordan River saying, Messiah is coming, get your poop in a group. Yeah, okay, crazy guy with a beard, eating locusts and honey, wearing camel hair, you're nuts. Oh, snap, he was right. Messiah is coming. Almost to the point that it frustrates me if I think about it too long. How many men screaming in the wilderness do you need telling you to get ready before you start getting ready? And the way I deal with that is I absolve myself of responsibility over you. If a house does not accept you, knock the dust off your sandals and move on to the next one. Cast not your pearls before swine. Roger that. Those are the words of Messiah. Bonus intel from the Bear Nation. By the way, if you're on Patreon, you have all of this written down with all the links and the whole nine. If you're not on Patreon, you don't. There's a link in the description of every video and live stream on YouTube. It's $5 a month. That's one caramel macchiato, one can of Skull, one scratch-off lottery ticket for the month of life-saving information. This morning, we were talking about pistol caliber carbines for SHTF loadouts. That's where all the good stuff is on Patreon. So, if you can't afford Patreon, at least please give us a thumbs up, like, and share. That helps us greatly. And if you can, if you're ready to put on your big boy britches and get the real information, the link is in the description. Bonus intel, 8JULY22. Medical. My mom has had an ostomy since 1965. She's always been able to order what she needed and still have a small enough amount left over each month. The past 2 months, she has not been able to get enough supplies. They have greatly limited the amount she can order, and some items, like surgical tape, are on back order and have no idea when they will be back in stock. Geez, Liberty, do you know anything about back orders on medical stuff?
Do I?
What's that like?
Never ending.
And I'm not making light of this woman with their mom and her ostomy. I said this explicitly and with all the gusto I could muster on the 24th of February, 22, when Russia actually invaded Ukraine. I said, y'all need to get your shit now, because it's gonna get worse. And as a guy who's the CEO of a company called Refuge Medical, who is in direct competition with the Defense Logistics Agency, which is a department of the Department of Defense, aka the people who buy all the things that they need for war, I have been telling you for months now, get it while you can, because it's becoming more and more scarce every day. That's why if I tell you guys something's in stock, you need to go get it, because it may not be there. We sold out on bleeding control kits last night while live streaming simply by mentioning them. Like, it's just the way that it is. And this is not me trying to pressure sell anybody or sham wow anybody. I'll be honest, I don't need to pressure sell you. These kits sell themselves. They come back in stock and they're gone a lot of times before I can even talk about them. So if you have thought to yourself, I need to go get this thing, whether it's a first aid kit from Refuge Medical, or it's more ammunition, or it's more canned food, or a generator, or gas cans, or whatever, like, today's the day, homie. It's Friday, payday. Maybe buy one less case of White Claw and get some canned food, right? Or one fewer bottle of Prosecco or Chardonnay or whatever the hell you're into. I don't know, old E40s. Do people even play Edward 40 hands anymore?
Never heard
I
of
don't.
it.
You never heard of
No.
Edward 40 hands? Oh my gosh, Liberty, that's
Is
good.
that the thing with the knife?
No.
Oh,
Edward 40
that's
hands is where you
ridiculous.
get two 40s and you duct tape them into your hands, and you're not allowed to have your hands back until you've consumed the two 40s.
Yeah, that sounds.
And it's a ticking time bomb because you drink two 40s, you're gonna have to pee pretty quick,
Yeah.
and you don't have use of your hands. So Edward 40 hands is two 40s, and essentially it's you got to down these two 40s, and then you can have your hands back
Wow.
before you
I'm glad
pee.
people probably don't play this anymore. That sounds.
I don't know.
dangerous.
Yeah, I had interesting friends growing up.
Yeah.
So
You also probably had interesting times.
I had very interesting times. The ones that I can remember
Yeah.
were quite interesting. Food and agriculture. I went to my local Tractor Supply in Western North Carolina on the 1st of July and was talking to one of the employees about their supply of whole corn. And he said they had just put out the last pallet in their stock. When I asked when he was expecting to get more, he responded with, "Our warehouse is bare." Just another indicator of the food and animal feed supply dwindling. By the way, shout out to Southern Prepper One. If you want more intelligence like this, actual what he refers to as boots on the ground intelligence, which we have also discussed. I like that term, boots on the ground intelligence. Southern Prepper One is doing a lot of these videos. And so I'd recommend, if you're interested in this type of information, go watch Southern Prepper One on YouTube. It's got a lot of this type of information. If you have information like this that you would like to share with us, the Bear Nation, the email address is intel@bearindependent.com. If you go to bearindependent.com, there's a contact us page. You can select Intel. That will also go to them. Intel is not read this article or watch this video. It is stuff you've seen with your own eyes. Intel@bearindependent.com. Next, I work at Little Caesars Pizza. I have noticed since early April that our meat inventory has been downsized. Our beef has been reduced to small little marble-sized balls compared to sausage that is a super bouncy ball-sized. We don't get all of our chicken wings order fills. Our store is very strict on how much cheese we use on each pizza. There is a camera literally positioned on the cheese to watch the amount we use. The bacon crumbles aren't as bulky as they once were. That's okay, that's not food anyway. Sometimes we have to go to the grocery store next to us to get cans of pineapple and packs of mushrooms because we simply don't have any in the store. The pepperoni is more thinly sliced than usual, and that's our main seller, so that's the first thing I've noticed. The pepperoni was once $half coin sized. Now they are a little bigger than a quarter. Everything that is going on in the world is definitely affecting my particular Little Caesars store. Security. I'll tell you what, I need to pee.
Okay.
I'm going to do that. They can look at the background over here, and or you can come say nice things to them.
Okay.
I don't care, but I don't want to make a mess of myself with all of our friends here on the internet.
It's probably not a good
So,
idea.
here I go. Fabulous.
I just like reading the chat.
We still have live stream. They kicked us off the interwebs yet?
Nope.
Nope. How many people we got?
1,500 on one and like 200 on the other.
Wow, 1,500 people over here on the YouTubes.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Amy. Is that our Amy?
I mean, it says Miss Amy. Is
Okay.
that our Amy?
I believe that's our
Oh,
Amy.
okay.
Good morning, our Amy. Security. First-hand witness, government handing flyers to gun store owners, encouraging them to turn in anyone buying large quantities of chemical mousetraps and metal pipes, leading me to believe they are worried about more escalated civil unrest. Yup, a lot of people have been saying, dude, did you see the Georgia Guidestones? Yeah, with all due respect, we see everything. We have a pretty large intelligence network. I usually see it before one of y'all tells me to see it. What do you think happened, Bear? I think some people had a bunch of leftover fireworks from the 4th of July, and they did some amateur demolition on that thing, and I'm glad it got knocked over because Deuteronomy 12:3 is real. I don't think if a global cabal had destroyed those things, they'd be destroyed. That was amateur hour on those things. Next, a lot of men in my family work as union boiler makers. We are skilled craftsmen who normally work shutdowns and new construction of oil refineries, nuclear power. Yeah, I know boiler makers. Good dudes. You have to be on top of your stuff to be a boiler maker because if you mess up, people die. We normally work shutdowns, new construction of oil refineries, nuclear plants, etc. Basically anything energy related. However, my dad, who's been in the trade nearly 30 years, has been contracted to work on U.S. military bases in Alaska and Poland since early 2020. They've been building some kind of new missile defense radar systems in preparation of war. This is not the normal type of work we do, and it's been very hush-hush. That is all I can say is I don't want my dad's job to be put at risk by saying too much else. This shows that they have been quietly preparing for war for a while now. Yup. I got news for you. They've been quietly preparing for war and openly preparing for war that I'm aware of with my direct and indirect knowledge of since September 11th, 2001. Energy is super important. Getting back to that continuity of government thing, energy is super important. You got to make the electrons flow to make commo work. You got to make commo work to make logistics work, and you have to make logistics work to make tactical and strategic initiatives work. Super important. So yeah, there's been a lot of Boilermakers doing strange stuff for the last 20 plus years that I'm aware of. But I do appreciate the intel. Next, one, with the war in Ukraine, the first aid market is being flooded with fake tourniquets, which is spilling into the U.S. market. At the last 2 months, I've had at least 20 to 25 show up in class. Yup. I'm proud to tell you, our stuff comes directly from the manufacturers, and it's not fake, and we know what fake is. I have videos here on YouTube. You should watch them. Fake tourniquet. Just put in bear fake tourniquet, and I explain to you the difference between a genuine cat tourniquet and a fake. 2, also because of the war in Ukraine, fake body armor such as the 1155 plates are popping up. We are now forced to double check all body armor that people show up with to class. If one is even a bit sketchy, we replace it with our kit for the class. 3, a very large ammo manufacturer and distributor in my area has put a freeze on selling 5.7 ammunition to civilians as cartels have been getting third parties to buy that ammo to smuggle it back to Mexico. Fun times. Next, I work at a pretty big gun distributor. New York State is suing 5 companies. One of them is our company. The state that residents are not allowed to have unserialized guns. They state that residents are not allowed to have unserialized guns, but we and other companies have sent polymer 80s to their residents. They do not have a restriction on this. My company is pretty big about where we can and cannot sell certain items. It's fixed in our website. Just this week, we closed the purchasing of more than 10 round magazines for residents of Washington because if they ordered after the 28th, they might not have been shipped before today. Today, July 1st, Washington State now has a 10 round mag limit. Also today, and this is just speculation, but UPS decided they won't be accepting our packages to ship out anymore, and I suspect it's due to this lawsuit. Wokeism. I don't understand how UPS has any liability in that. You're just transporting a package. There's lots of things that show up through USPS and UPS that you're not supposed to So to me, it seems like a bit of woke activism from the men and women of the brown shirts. Brown shirts is not good people to be historically either. BT dubs, something to think about. And I know, like, I like our UPS guys. Like, I'm not saying like, hey, Matt, fix yourself. You know, like, I get it. It's a corporate decision, but it's a dumb corporate decision. Next, I'm a member of law enforcement here in Washington State, just outside of Seattle. Our and many other cities around us have government and infrastructure that is crumbling away. Since February of 2021, we have had a 100% turnover of our local government employees. Twice. Let that sink in. The lack of knowledge, experience, and chain of command here is staggering, and as things begin to decline, positions are beginning to vacate once again. It is only a matter of time before the local government here just ceases to be able to handle any and all duties. As law enforcement specifically, we are currently at under 50% capacity. With rumors of riots and protests, our instructions from command were to leave peaceably and go home, do not engage. This is not a sustainable approach. As of May, we have since stopped requiring first aid and medical training for most positions here. I am leaving shortly, as this state of lawlessness is something I refuse to keep my family around. Well, good job. But man, is that an indicator right there. Rome is burning, homie. Next, I work in the coal production industry, specifically the conveyor equipment to get coal above ground. Last year, our monthly goal was to ship $1 million of product a week, and we've had zero backlog. Currently, our goal is to ship $7 million a month with $6 million backlog. This is because of gas prices. Gasoline drives LP prices. LP drives natural, and natural drives coal prices. We can't get parts and materials fast enough to keep up with demand. Eventually, there will be a tipping point where energy demands cannot be met due to supply chain issues on our end. This is a strong indicator of an upcoming energy crisis that will be felt worldwide. Praise the Most High for second witnesses, because I get tired of yelling at y'all some days. You have to adjust your OODA loop. And I see so many people too, and at least it means you're paying attention, saying, what's an OODA loop? What is that? OODA space loop. It's a loop. It's a constant thing that you should be doing. If you don't know what it is, you can't do it. OODA, OODA, Oscar, Delta, Alpha. Observe, look at the thing. Orient, actually pay attention to the thing. Decide, what am I going to do about this thing? Act, do what you said you were going to do about the thing. OODA. Observe, orient, decide, act. And it's a loop, because as you are changing because of the actions you've taken, and as the battlefield or the environment is changing because of the actions everybody else is changing, you need to continue to observe and then orient on specific threats and then decide what your courses of action are to meet those specific threats, and then you need to act on them. Having a good plan in a binder that you never did doesn't work. It doesn't matter. Saying you're going to get food storage and not doesn't help. Getting off the grid, saying you're going to do it but not doing it doesn't help. Having a rifle that's not zeroed and that you can't operate doesn't help, right? You have to act, you have to do it. So it's a decision-making process based upon external inputs. Observe, orient, decide, act. And many of y'all are observing. You're seeing what's going on, but you're not actually orienting on the specific threat. You're not paying close enough attention to it. You don't truly grasp what's going on. You're not oriented on it. And because you're not oriented on it, you haven't decided what your courses of action are going to be. How are you going to fix these things? And if you haven't decided what you're going to do, 100% chance you're not going to do it. So, OODA loop. Adjust your OODA loop. This shit is real, boys and girls, and I don't want good men and women to suffer and die. I don't want kids to suffer and die because their parents didn't do what they were supposed to do. Let's be frank, I make shit money from YouTube. There's no point in me being here, honestly. And these first aid kits, praise the Most High, they sell themselves. I don't need to be here. I'm here because the Father has put a conviction on my heart that I'm supposed to speak with y'all. And I do. Because I don't want good people to die. And I am encouraged by about the 10% of you that actually do these things, that actually take it seriously. The other 90% of y'all need to get your poop in a group ASAP, because your window of opportunity to take corrective action is closing. Next, I've been in the automotive industry for 49 years. Issues include glass, anything computer related, Freon, R134 is becoming non-existent, body parts, real bad with foreign cars, tires have skyrocketed. O'Reilly's is my aftermarket jobber, and it's getting hard to get oil from them. My parts manager has stated that getting allocated bulk oil from GM is getting tough, and the dates keep changing. Body shop supplies, paper, chemicals are getting back ordered. Something I would recommend doing, if you have the scratch and you've checked a bunch of the other boxes, food, security, water storage, independent generation, communications, and you still got the scratch, get a spare set of tires for your vehicle and some extra oil filters and some extra oil and maybe a fuel filter if you can, and an air filter, some spare wiper blades, a tire plug kit, a 12-volt compressor. Like, get that stuff, have it. I can see a stack of tires from here where I'm sitting. And it's not like, because Bear's so cool and Bear does all the things. Like, I'm just sharing my good ideas with you. You don't have to do shit. If you don't do shit, you're going to suffer for that later, but that's okay. But if you got the scratch, I would recommend getting the automotive stuff. Next, I work at a nuclear power plant in the Mid-Atlantic region. I know exactly where that is. I can't specifically say more than that due to ease of identification. We are, but again, power industry was my thing. We are currently undermanned and hemorrhaging staff faster than we can hire, train, and replace them due to quality of life issues and workloads being dumped on those of us that remain. Word is going around that an unplanned outage later this month. Normally, when we have to shut down outside of our normal 18-month refueling cycle, it's a big deal, and management is flooding us with information so that we can plan and prepare to execute whatever repairs are needed as quickly, safely, and effectively as possible. This time is different. Management is not denying the shutdown, but they are being incredibly tight-lipped about the details of when and why. In my 20 years of experience in both an industry and company that emphasizes transparency and open planning, I've never seen anything like this. While we may occasionally get reminders not to share business information with the public, we have never deliberately hid details of upcoming work and major evolutions to the employees who will be affected by it. Water cooler conversations suspect that it's something major that may create an extended period of mandatory shift work, and corporate is trying to prevent more people from leaving before it occurs. Next, I'm sharing a small anecdote about our electrical infrastructure and supply of critical parts. Lightning had fried our transformer and it needed to be replaced. After the men replaced it, I was chatting with the foreman and he notified me that things were getting pretty bad in the transformer supply department. Yes, it is. Real bad. The big transformers are manufactured overseas. The smaller transformers, a lot of them are General Electric, Westinghouse, several other manufacturers, and some of them are domestic and some of them are not. But it's a supply chain issue still. He said things could be really bad if we had a large storm with widespread damage due to low inventory and their next shipment arriving somewhere in September. I live in a location that's somewhat vulnerable to hurricanes, and this has me a bit concerned. I believe he said these particular transformers were manufactured in Mexico. Entirely possible. There had been at least one recent case of a brand new unit being inoperable upon installation. That happens. You get a bad apple in every bunch. During the height of American superpower world domination, you still get bad transformers. That happens. What would be interesting would be to see a pattern of lots and lots and lots of bad transformers coming in. That's an indicator. He also mentioned having to borrow several underground transformers from a neighboring power company recently. Needless to say, the conversation further highlighted the fragility of our critical infrastructure and the modern lifestyle it provides. Yup. Sarasota, Florida. Let's see, we got a few more here. Sarasota, Florida, rent has gone up 40% across the board. For example, I pay $1,280 per month for renting a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. My landlord is selling all the rental properties. After looking at about 10 plus properties, we found a first floor 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment for $2,330 per month. The apartment complexes are also adding parking fees, trash pickup, amenity fees on top of rent costs. Next, that is a freaking long one. Brevity, Bear Nation, brevity. When you write in, brevity if you can, please. intel@bearindependent.com. Here's an update regarding local food pantries and grocery stores. Food banks and food pantries are starting to collapse due to massive increases in demand and apocalyptic shortages. I'm on the board of directors for the largest food pantry in my county. I live in the part of the Midwest that is in the east of the Mississippi. We've been seeing a massive wave of new and returning clients, breaking records nearly every day for the past 3 months, all while working on a rapidly dwindling food supply. We are nearing 1,000 individuals a month when we used to get 200 to 300 just a year ago. We've grown several fold and have a large amount of cash on hand due to donations to handle the increased client base. The issue for us and for other pantries in the area has become securing a food supply of sufficient variety. Meat is available in stores, but it is outrageously expensive and would deplete what is currently a year's savings in 2 months or less. Meat from local food banks often comes in horrendously rotten. We have, for the most part, stopped purchasing meat from them for the time being due to the extreme risks, and having managed to find a moderate source of meat. Moderate source of meat. Don't eat meat. Don't eat mice. Don't eat them. And people say all the time, man, dumbasses say, maybe not people. They're like, Bear, you're over there keeping Leviticus 11. You'll eat a rabbit if you're starving to death. First of all, asshole, don't tell me what I'll do and won't do. Second of all, the freezers are full of meat for a reason. Third of all, so the fields are filled with meat for a reason. Fourth of all, I won't eat meat at all if I can't eat meat the way I want to, the way I'm convicted to. So for all the little naysayers out there talking shit, kiss my ass. Next. Same. Other goods like canned foods, ready meals, and other staples are in such short supply that they are reaching the limit of what food banks permit us to purchase based on client numbers. Local stores in our small city of around 1,500 are decently stocked, with about 85% of items being in stock. However, many of the missing items are core staples for distribution. If we and every other food pantry in the area would have to switch to grocery store purchases over food banks for all of our foodstuffs, financial insolvency would rapidly become a concern, as the cost to provide families food would skyrocket. Our pantry is the largest in our city, along with having the most consistent hours in addition to the most well-rounded foods in the country. How much longer can we sustain our operation is becoming a more pressing question with each board meeting. As for the grocery stores, one of my friends works at a local chain grocery store and has been feeding us reports of price increases and coming shortages. Canned meats have skyrocketed by 40% from what they were at the beginning of the year. Sugar locally is more than double the price as it was in December 2019. Pasta has been impossible to keep in stock. Milk and eggs are exploding in price if they can be acquired at all. Both used to be very cheap due to the local production. Eggs that were between 60 and 90 cents for a carton of 18 are now over $2 or even $3 in some stores with a more regular supply. The whole milk I purchase has increased from $2 to $3.50 in just 6 months. We are a fairly rural and large county that grows its own food and exports even more. Last, I work for a rigging and overhead lifting supply company. Century Aluminum is one of our larger customers. One of our contacts is fairly high up in the food chain there, and he contacted us today to let us know that they were told to stop shutdown procedures. They had barely shut down line 5 at the Hawesville plant when apparently someone from the government agency had contacted them, basically stating that they were not to shut down. At this time, we are not sure exactly what that means, whether the government will be helping to pay for the electrical cost of the company or just forcing them to resume production. Right now, everything is up in the air. Right now, everything is up in the air. That's a brief for today. If you're on Patreon, you've got all the written brief and the links. If you're not on Patreon, you don't. Patreon.com, search for Bear Independent. I don't want to scare people. Although many of y'all are negatively motivated by fear. See, that's counterproductive. Because I don't want anxiety, because most people shut down under too much pressure. But I'm hoping that by reading these things with you, you're beginning to understand the reality of the situation that we are in. And it is not going to get better overnight, regardless of who is the president in 2024 and how the midterm elections go. It's not going to get better overnight. This is bigger than that. That could help, but this is bigger than that. I'm hoping to shine light on this situation so that you boys and girls out there understand things are getting serious and you take appropriate action. That's it. You guys know where to find us. BearIndependent.com, Patreon, RefugeMedical.com. There's a handful of these left, the ARCs, the Advanced Ripaway Kit, right here. That's it. Mount it on your headrest, or your plate carrier, or your war belt, or don't. Pops open like this, unfolds. Has some awesome stuff in here for life-saving stuff. Top-notch components, real components, not fake Chinesium garbage. 49 lives saved to date, made in America, guaranteed forever, exceeds military specification on 4 continents electively with all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces, thousands of law enforcement officers, 49 lives saved to date. Our kits don't mess around, and neither do we. These will be gone today. So if you want one like today, now is probably the time to get them because they don't last. Praise the Most High, they don't last. And also, we had somebody last night who was like, well, maybe you should just like control the flow of inventory to the market so that, you know, more people have an opportunity to get the stuff. And Bob, who's our director of ops, had a really good answer to that. He's like, what about the people whose lives might have been saved if the kits we had in inventory had been shipped out to the people that needed them right now? So we're going to let people die because of supply chain pressures and because of certain people's economic inability to acquire a kit right now? I don't think that's righteous. So if they're in stock, they're in stock. If it says in stock on our website, that means it's under our roof. The average ship time for a first aid kit is 3 days with our company right now. Average ship time, 3 days. You order it 3 days later, it's out the door. In many cases, you order it in the morning, it's out the door that afternoon. So 3 days ship time. If it says it's in stock, we physically have it. So we have the ARCs, the Advanced Ripaway Kits. We have the Adventure Kits, which is basically like a CLS bag, a Combat Lifesaver bag that's got provision to fix everything from, you know, Band-Aids to boo-boos to bullet holes and broken bones. Like it's a badass kit, the Adventure Kit. Makes a very good car kit, makes a very good like Boy Scout troop kit or school bus kit or workplace office kit, construction kit, really good, the Adventure Kit. The Crash and the Smash kits, which are in Pelican cases, we have those available. And the Crash kit comes with or you can add a vacuum sealed bear fac to it. So all the contents are 100% waterproof, weatherproof, dustproof, like vacuum sealed. It's totally badass. So perfect for vehicles and vehicle applications, as well as maritime applications. If you have a boat, you need a first aid kit on a boat, because probably unlikely you're going to get to a hospital even faster on a boat. Possible, not probable. And then lastly, we have some bag only options. So if you have medical stuff, you just want the cool guy bag, the Bear Fac, the Bare Minimum, and the Adventure Kit all have bag only options as well. So you can check all that out at refugemedical.com. If you use promo code BearNation, you'll get free shipping off everything in the store. All the big kits, the Stomp bags, the Max, the Crashes, it's all in stock. So go check it out. These ARCs will sell out. They never last very long. If we can get them to last a week, that's like a huge blessing. So, and I think we announced them Wednesday, and it's Friday, and there's a handful of them left. So, yeah, Refuge training. If you don't know how to use your stuff, you're just LARPing, you need to come to training, refugetraining.com. Additionally, there's a series of videos here on YouTube where I've been walking you through the March algorithm, massive bleeding, airway, respiratory, circulation, head injury, hypothermia, and everything else for free here on YouTube. That's information, not instruction. But if you know nothing, you at least need to go watch those videos here on YouTube, the trauma medicine series. But then you need to come to class and actually do it with your own hands so you develop the automaticity to be able to do it under stress without thinking about it. And so that's refugetraining.com. We got a few slots left in Dallas and Philly right now. There are more tour dates to come. It's probably going to be another week before I can announce those. But if you're anywhere near Dallas or anywhere near Philly, you need to go to those classes. Additionally, I think there's classes in Waco. I don't know if Waco has sold out yet or not, but if you're anywhere near South Texas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, drive to Waco. I know, Texas is a big place. I lived there for a large portion of my life. Just drive to Waco. Don't be a schlub. Drive to Waco. Suck it up, Buttercup. We're driving to Waco. I don't live in Waco. We're driving to Indianapolis. I don't live in Indy. We're driving to Dallas. We're driving to Philly. Yeah, if we can do it, you can do it. Gas is so high, Bear. I know. Maybe your wife should just bleed out and die instead because you didn't know how to fix her. Great concept. I like that. Maybe when your kid has a compound fracture because they fell off their bike and their femur is split and it nicked their femoral artery and they're laying there bleeding and you're freaking out because you don't know what to do because gas was $5 a gallon and so I didn't go. You're right. I hear that children's coffins are cheaper than gasoline these days. You're right. We should go that route instead. Because all of your excuses are lies. And with that, if you think it's a bad idea for children to get serially raped as product of the cartel, you should join us at grindstoneministries.com so that we can shoot bad guys in the face, literally, and then restore those children with our restoration facility, Caleb House. grindstoneministries.com, breaking generational curses and putting coverings over orphans and widows. I feel like a bad brother sometimes. I do, because I love y'all. I really do. Well, Liberty, you know me in real life. Sugarcoating's not my thing.
Nope.
Not even a little bit.
Nope.
Yeah.
But that's what people enjoy most about you.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
All right. Well, I think we checked that box.
Bull crap in the world. I'd like to know how it is.
I think we checked that box today.
After your brief last Friday, we went to Sam's and bought $3,200 worth of rice
That's
and beans.
no shit. Yes, you did. Yes, you
I
did.
got back in the car and I was like, you're going to Sam's while I'm at work today. So I just listened to the brief and...
That's a good point. We do this stuff.
Yeah.
We don't talk about this stuff. We don't green screen this stuff. We do this stuff. You are on my homestead with me right now. Mm-hmm. Like, we're not faking it. Hopefully the pallet of water video on Wednesday made that clear. That was interesting. You hear that?
That was.
We need to go.
Okay.
Y'all have a blessed day. Shalom.